Boys and girls, welcome back. We are now moving on in John chapter 2. I apologize for sometimes the long gap in between videos, but we're back here. Needless to say, we're ready to rock here. We just got 5 verses to take a look at today. Really 5 interesting but powerful verses here. Starting in John 2:12, the gospel writer John writes, "After this, he went to Capernaum with his mother and brothers and his disciples. There they stayed for a few days. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts he found men selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the temple area, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves he said, 'Get these out of here. How dare you turn my Father's house into a market?'" It's very interesting that Jesus decides here in John chapter 2 to go in and just totally drive everybody out of the temple like he does. Very, sometimes even uncharacteristic of Jesus. A guy who's very calm, relaxed, collected, has this really, it looks like angry outburst. Well, one of the things we're looking at here is what these men did in the temple was it took a place which was unbelievably holy. This is a place where God was at. And they made it really normal, ordinary, and profane. They took, that'd be like me going into, I'm trying to think of a good example. That'd be like me going into, I guess maybe like your bedroom, a place you really value. It's not a great example, mind you, but it's a place you really value, a place that's important to you. That would be like me going into your bedroom and just throwing all my stuff every which way, having a party, maybe inviting people over who you don't really like, selling, having a store in there. It's not a really great example. That would be essentially what I did, is I took a place which is very important, very special to you, and I just made a mockery. I turned it into my own special, place, and I made it really a hard thing for you to go to, you to enjoy, and for you to find yourself in that place. It was very hard to find God in the temple with the money changers, with people selling, a lot of slavery going on. Not a very good thing to do for those men. It's a similar thing if we did that to our churches today and just turn them into places of business, party halls. That's not the purpose of this. And Jesus made some really strong statements in that this place, this house, is very, very important to my Father. And so when you make it just an ordinary, normal place, there is a problem. And for all our lives today, God no longer permanently resides in the temple. God now resides in an eternal temple which can be found right inside of you. God said, I'm not going to be confined to one place anymore. I'm going to live in the hearts of every single man, woman, and child who professes to know me. And so a similar concept applies to our own lives. When we go out and we do things that harm and dishonor our bodies, when we go out and look at things which aren't going to honor our mind or honor God, when we go out and we overindulge in maybe eating, or we take drugs, or we go and do things that can be destructive and hurtful, to take a very special place to God and make it ordinary, Jesus has a very similar reaction to that, and that's to say that he's very angered, he's very hurt that you would take something which means so much to God, where God is, and you would just make it ordinary. That's the common belief, and that's the one thing I want you to get out of this thing today, is that where God resides at during that time was in the temple. God was there, and the people, the money changers, said, hey, we're just going to make it an ordinary, normal place. It's not going to be special anymore. And this just absolutely infuriated Jesus, and he had this strong reaction. Well, since the cross, since the resurrection, since God no longer is confined to one place, God lives in all of our hearts. Jesus has the exact same reaction. We say, this is a special place to God, but I'm going to make it ordinary by acting selfishly, by acting sinfully. And that's what we want to take away today. Realize that your life and your body is a special place to God. And when you take away from that by making it normal, by acting sinful, by acting selfishly, then Jesus Christ has got a problem with that. And trust me, he's not somebody you want to have a problem with. Let's live this week, really understand that our lives are special, and that God wants to do something amazing with us, but we can't make our lives and our hearts normal, selfish, sinful places for God. That's all for right now. We'll come back later.